What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at 3 different questions that the Yankees are going to need to answer before we enter October. This team just clinched the division. They set out and did what they were supposed to do in the regular season, which was to go out and win a tough division, the American League East. There were 3 other teams that finished above 500, and as underwhelming as the Red Sox were this year, that is definitely not a bad team. They're just a meh team in a very good division. So the Yankees went out and did their job. They went out and secured that they're going to have a bye and go straight to the American League Divisional Series. They don't have to play in Wild Card Weekend. That's going to be very, very, very good for them. They need the rest. They should not be stressing over wild card games. Thankfully, they will not be doing that for the first time since 2019. It's been a long time coming. It's been something that this team has been, pegged to do in 2020 and 2021. They fell short of their goals, and finally this year they come around and win that American League East. But with that being said, let's start off on kind of a little more of a serious note with Giancarlo Stanton, because Giancarlo Stanton has been running a strikeout rate above 50% in his last few games. He doesn't really look like himself. And while he's still hitting the ball hard and projects pretty decently, there's a lot of worry about whether Stanton can go out there and handle that high velocity in October that you're going to see, right? The American League is chock full of amazing pitching with high velocity arms. If you look, at what could be your first round matchup in either Cleveland or one of those wild card teams, Cleveland's starting pitching with Shane Bieber and Tristan McKenzie doesn't really show off great velocity. But if you look towards the back end of that bullpen, they've got Clase who throws gas. They've got quite a few guys who throw gas in there that are going to present issues for the New York Yankees. If you look at potential options in the wild card race, the Rays, famously the stable of guys who throw 100 miles an hour. The Mariners have a very nasty bullpen. You have Diego Castillo, you have Luis Castillo, you have Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, George Kirby, who all throw 95 plus. In that bullpen, Andres Munoz is one of the hardest throwers in the league. You got some good velocity with Matt Brash. They've got guys who don't throw as hard as those, 90 plus, 95, 96 plus guys that are still nasty, like Matthew Festa. Paul Sewald is in the lower 90s, but we know he has that weird approach angle that makes him super deceptive. They're just chock full of pitching, right? Penn Murphy is another guy who's just been really good this year. It's really nasty, 2.45 ERA, doesn't throw too hard, but the guys who don't throw hard come from different angles, and the guys who do throw hard have overpowering stuff, and that is definitely a concern when it comes to October. The Toronto Blue Jays, I know that we just saw them. But when it comes to their pitching staff, the starting pitching doesn't have great velocity. There aren't any guys there that are throwing 98, 99, but Kevin Gausman, we know, with the splitter. Manoah's historically been very good against the Yankees. Barrios has had, kind of an on and off, and Ross Stripling has put together a decent year. So it's not like their pitching is terrible in the starting pitching regard. The bullpen's got dialed up a little bit. David Phelps, Anthony Bass, Zach Pop, Trevor Richards. Those are guys who throw decently hard or have decent stuff. Anthony Bass has good stuff. They acquired him at the deadline. They just have a lot of really good high quality arms. And for a guy like Stanton who struggled with those high quality velocities or that nasty movement, it's a real concern whether he's going to make enough contact to go out and have success. You can hit the ball hard, but if you don't make any contact, there's no exit velocity for a ball that isn't hit. And so that is definitely a concern there. Am I kind of worried? Yes. I think the Yankees are going to avoid putting him in the 3 or 4 hole if they can. Hopefully, Gleyber continues to stay hot. He's been really good in the month of September. Judge and Rizzo have been, Judge and Rizzo all year. Potentially getting LeMahieu back in that Orioles series could be huge. You don't know what you're going to get from him, but maybe if you get something there that can kind of fill out the top of your lineup a little bit better. It's not like this team hasn't been able to score. They've got an offense from a lot of different places, and Stan just has to start to become one of those places, or else they're going to have to move him down the lineup, and that's something that you really weren't anticipating having to do with a guy of the caliber of Giancarlo Stanton bat-wise. But moving on from Giancarlo Stanton, we'll talk about the rotation. The rotation, Garrett Cole starting in game 1. You can be upset about it. You can get riled up about it. You can say Garrett Cole isn't that good. He isn't a big game pitcher. The reality of the situation is Garrett Cole's ERA against playoff teams is sub 3. He's pitched on and off, kind of been meh, kind of been great other days. Hasn't been the Garrett Cole we're used to. He has his highest ERA minus since 2017, but the peripherals look great. The strikeout to walk numbers look great. The quality of contact isn't too far off from last year, so it's not like he's getting hit a lot harder than last year, which is a little puzzling as to why his ERA is a lot higher. I think that speaks to maybe some poor quality of luck. We don't know. Ultimately, if the Yankees start anyone other than Garrett Cole in game one, it's malpractice. Garrett Cole has the best stuff on the team. If you want to say stuff doesn't matter, I disagree with you. I think the quality of your stuff definitely matters. I think the pedigree of the pitcher you are definitely matters. I think, Garrett Cole is very clearly the most talented pitcher on this pitching staff. I think Garrett Cole, if you ask executives across the league who they're starting in game one, they're starting Garrett Cole. And there's a reason for that, because you're going to take the odds of Garrett Cole pitching well over the giving you 7 innings over the odds of Nestor Cortez doing that. Not to downplay Nestor, who I have as the game 2 starter. Cortez has a great ERA on the season, but the peripherals aren't as great as Garrett Cole's, and so you're a little bit worried there. Though Garrett Cole definitely does surrender the home run ball a little bit more. By a little bit, I mean quite a bit more. Cortez is a really good number 2 starter. He's perfect to play off of Garrett Cole, because Garrett Cole throws, really hard. We know that Garrett Cole is a high 90s, 98, 99 type of guy. Cortez sits more 91, 92, left-handed. They do different things. They have different arsenals. They definitely play well off of each other. I think that's your 1 and 2. I think there's no debate about that at this point. And I think Cortez kind of established himself as one of the better starters in the American League. So there's that. And then as for, your number 3 spot, Luis Severino has put together a pretty strong season, 3.41 ERA. Strikeout to walk rate is 19.8%, which is pretty solid. He doesn't get hammered too hard. The hard hit rates aren't crazy. The barrel rates aren't crazy. He gets good. He has good stuff. It's a little bit concerning that his last start wasn't as great as it should have been, but not too concerning. I think that had more to do with the fact that Isaiah Kiner-Falefa couldn't convert a very easy ground ball, and not as much that Severino wasn't that good. It very much had to do with the fact that Isaiah Kiner-Falefa completely butchered that, and that should never happen to any major league shortstop, especially at the frequency that it did that day. But Severino has my trust because he throws so hard. He has great movement. His slider is phenomenal. He hasn't even used his slider as much. He's been a little more fastball heavy, as he's come back from the IL. And that's not something that I anticipate continues. I think he's going to balance his slider usage a little bit more, but it comes with the comfort of using that pitch more. When he started using it more right before he got hurt, you think that start against Chicago, where he dominated up until that start against, the Pittsburgh Pirates right before he got injured in that Cincinnati Red start. He was throwing a 2.74 ERA, striking out nearly 30% of batters, right? When his slider's right and when he's using it a lot, it's a really good pitch. So we want to see that slider usage get up to 25, 26%. We want to see that changeup usage high. You want to see those secondary pitches thrown in there. We don't want to see the fastball usage over 47, 48%. We don't want to see in that 40, 55, 56% range, because his fastball's good, but no fastball really outside of like maybe Garrett Cole's or Jacob deGrom's or those type of fastballs are good enough to be thrown that much, when you're trying to get through multiple times through the order. So Severino definitely finds himself as that 3 starter. And then the 4 starter is a little complicated. You could go Taillon as the opener. Taillon has a 3.04 ERA first time through the order this season, and in his career has done historically very well first time through the order. So that could definitely be something you do. We saw it last year. They deployed that in game 162, and they shut down the Rays. So, there is a formula that works there. You can use Montas if he comes back healthy as an opener. You're definitely not going to be able to build him up as a starter again this year. I think a lot of the injury tells me that a lot of his struggles were injury related. It was just strange that a guy who had pinpoint command and could blow it by people in Oakland wasn't able to do that over here. You can say it's nerves. I just don't think it's nerves. I don't think the guy is sitting there nervous because he's pitching in Yankee Stadium. He's pitched in the playoffs before. Oakland wasn't big in market, but it was a playoff team consistently, and they were in playoff races, and he was pitching well still. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it was just shoulder impingement, and that definitely matters. And then, you can kind of play it off there. You have a great bullpen. You have guys who can go deep into the games in that bullpen. We've seen it with Trevino. Lou Trevino went in and he came in with 1 out in that 8th inning, and he ended up closing the game. That's his second save as a Yankee, both times against the Blue Jays and both times in multi-inning roles. So this is a guy who can go out there and get big outs. Lou Trevino has been using his slider a lot more. I trust Lou Trevino now, out the gate. I just trust him, right? He's got a sub 2 ERA. When your ERA starts with 1 as a New York Yankee, you're doing something good. 1.74 ERA is phenomenal. The strikeout per 9 is over 9, so he's striking out over a batter per 9 innings. Opponents aren't hitting well off him, 231. They're not really barreling the ball either. The StatCast numbers, 1.8% barrel rate. He's only given up one barrel as a Yankee. He keeps the ball on the ground. He's just a really good pitcher. 52.7% ground ball rate. I definitely think that, the Yankees pitching staff is deep enough to use an opener or a bullpen game in game 4. And I think that's the best course of action. I think once you get past your top 3 starters, your 4th starter really isn't as good as a bullpen game. I know a lot of people are going to have reservations about it, but I just want to clarify, how many World Series teams in recent memory haven't gone to a bullpen game in at least one of their games? You can't point to a World Series champion really in recent memory that hasn't, heavily relied on their bullpen or gone to a bullpen-like game, in the last 3 or 4 years to go on and then go on and win the World Series. You can say, well, the Nationals used Patrick Corbin out the bullpen, right, to go and get big outs. So they did rely on their bullpen quite a bit. You can look at, 2020, right? The Dodgers used an opener in multiple big games in the playoffs. 2021, the Braves used the bullpen game in a big game in the playoffs because Charlie Morton went down with injury. So this year, there's going to be good teams using bullpen games. Wouldn't be shocked if I saw the Dodgers do it. Wouldn't be shocked if the Rays did it. Wouldn't be shocked if the Astros. I mean, I would be kind of shocked because the Astros have enough starting pitching, but I wouldn't be shocked if a team like maybe the Braves look to do it again. Maybe the Mets try to piece a bullpen game together. Guardians, their bullpen games are important because you have shorter leashes on your starters, and you have, you're a little more free to go out and expend guys in the bullpen and ask them to do more than what they were supposed to do in the regular season in terms of workload. That's why you give these guys rest. That's why you give guys like Amani Peralta IL stint, more of a phantom IL stint, to go out and get them healthy and keep them in good shape for October. But with that being said, let's answer the final question here. Is Oswaldo Cabrera the left fielder for this team in October? And quite frankly, yes, he is. I think that you look at the defense, he's throwing velocity. StatCast just recently updated so that you can see the velocity of throws on outfielders. He has the 39th highest outfield throwing velocity of a sample of over 200 outfielders, right? He's throwing the ball on average 91.4 miles per hour when he's in the outfield. So he's making some phenomenal throws with great velocity, kind of around the Judge tier in terms of miles per hour on throws. Judge sits a little bit over 92. So when you're Oswaldo Cabrera out there, I mean, this is a guy with a great arm. I'd love to see him back in the infield at some point. If you get Benintendi back, I would love to see Cabrera go play shortstop because his arm is just so good. His chase rate's lowered in his recent hot streak. He has more barrels. The base running has gotten a little better. In terms of wins above replacement, he's on pace for 3.8 over 600 play appearances. So if you have a 3 to 4 win player in Oswaldo Cabrera, you feel pretty damn good about things. And do I think that next year he's going to go out and have 9 defensive runs saved or 8 defensive runs saved, in the outfield with a defensive run saved at shortstop before we even, get to, game 50 of Oswaldo Cabrera? No, I don't think we're going to see that crazy of defensive production. That's an outlier. It seems like it's better than what it will be long term. But if you're getting plus defense at left field, right field, shortstop, second base, third base, then yeah, I'm going to feel pretty good about having Oswaldo Cabrera on this team. He's played some first base. He's hit pretty decently, 103 WRC plus in the season. If he gives me that league average to slightly better than league average offense, I'm going to feel really good about having Oswaldo Cabrera on my team because he plays so many positions. He's got decent speed. The walk rates are getting better. His pull side power is pretty strong. He's just a good hitter and he's a good player. In left field, you can kind of throw him out there and hopefully he stays hot in October. And, you never know. Maybe he goes out and has some big time success, in October and has some big hits. He has all his home runs as a lefty, but as a righty, he's hitting better. His OPS is 829 as a righty. So, he's a little more of a balanced hitter. His isolated power goes down, but his average shoots up from the right-handed side. A little less power there, a little more of, how do I put it? Running a higher contact rate. Like his striker rate's 22% as a righty. It's well over 25% as a lefty. He's not a guy who's going to go out there and run low strikeout rates, but he's going to go out there and he's going to, kind of change what he does based on the side of the plate he's standing on. Left-handed, he seems to be more power-centric. Right-handed, he seems to be more contact-centric. Against a tough lefty, you can definitely throw him in there and he'll grind some at-bats. Hopefully he goes out and he continues to have the success because if he does, the Yankees are going to go a very long way and it'll be because of him. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think about Oswaldo Cabrera. Let me know what you guys think about the rotation. What do you guys think about Stan? What questions do you guys have about this team as they enter the postseason? The Yankees are the American League East divisional champions. They're going to have a shot to go out and, get straight to the ALDS. And if they can have a strong ALDS, who knows? Maybe this team ends up, winning number 28. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for checking us out. You guys continued support throughout the regular season. We've grown so much this year because of you guys. We appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next video. Ryan out.